Hi, I'm your host, Michelle Penczak, CEO of Squared Away, and you're listening to Beyond Orders, a podcast about military spouses who are done shrinking themselves to fit someone else's story. Today's guest is someone who has been absolutely instrumental in shaping our culture and operations from the ground up. Sara Brooks-Glover started at Squared Away as an EA, immersing herself in the day-to-day of client support. Then she moved into the role of Director of Finance and Compliance, in parentheses, streamlining our financial processes, ensuring regulatory alignment, and safeguarding our mission-driven work so we can be here for years to come. Most recently, she stepped into her new role as Chief of Operations, overseeing our entire operational strategy, building scalable systems, and ensuring every single team member has what they need to succeed. This episode is about evolution, the kind that happens when you show up fully, lead with heart, and embrace opportunities you never imagined. Sara's here to reflect on her journey at Squared Away and what it means to build something bigger than yourself, how she's approaching the next chapter with clarity, pride, and deep gratitude. Let's get into it. I'm so excited to have you today, Sara.
I'm very glad to be here.
You have been amazing over the past 5.5 years at Squared Away, and I just am so pumped for you to tell your story and share what brought you to Squared Away.
I'm very glad to be here, and we all know I wouldn't be here if you did not constantly field my harebrained ideas. So I'm excited to get into it and just talk about my journey with Squared Away, how I started, where I got to where I am now, which is more of those harebrained ideas. But thank you so much for having me. I love Squared Away. I love you. This is going to be really fun for me.
Well, to kick us off, why don't you start by telling us how you got here? What in the world attracted you to a teeny tiny little company out of my random little office in Hawaii?
So my journey with Squared Away actually started prior to you hiring me. It starts back in 2014, and I have my daughter to thank. I also started at Squared Away on her 5th birthday, so she has really strong ties to my journey with our company. But back in 2014, when she was a baby, my husband was stationed at Camp Lejeune, and I was fortunate enough to be in a play group with some other spouses, like most of us are when we have little kids and husbands who are constantly working and deployed and doing all the things. And our original director of operations, who you know, she's a wonderful person, got to shout her out. Her son was in Scarlett's play group, and I didn't join Squared Away at that time. It was very new. She was very new to Squared Away. And so over the years, as you know, we moved, Anthony deployed, Scarlett and I were in Michigan for a while. We were in Ohio for a while. I watched her grow with your company, and I watched her be able to be home with her kids and, you know, do some fun travel. And she was just really passionate about what she was doing. And it said to me, I need to take note of this because this is the kind of situation I want to find myself in, especially as Scarlett was getting older. I went back to work when she was about 1.5 years old, and I was very fortunate. I lived with my mom at the time. Anthony was deployed, so I had a grandparent taking care of her. She went to a really great little home daycare, and I worked for a company, shout out Mid-State Title in Jackson, Michigan. I love you guys so much. I worked with a company. Mostly I had a boss who really understood me and really understood that I deserved to do more than just answer phones at a front desk. He gave me a lot of really good opportunities. But what I really got out of that role was understanding how important it was for me to be there for Scarlett. And I worked with a lot of moms who had older kids who were really supportive of me because that was the era of, you know, her starting school and daycare. She was sick every week. I was stressed out. It was scary. And I got through it because of the company that I was with. But I also left Mid-State knowing that's not the typical experience. We moved after that, and I did have an office job. So I've done a lot of jobs. As you know, I've done everything from riding horses professionally to paralegal. I closed mortgages. I serviced mortgages. I'm just like every other military spouse. My resume is a wonky roadmap of different places I've lived and different jobs I've taken to stay hustling, because that is me at my core. I am a hustler. So when I left Midstate, I was like, I want something where I can be present for Scarlett, because the office job was really hard. Anthony, he was on recruiting at that point, which is it's a lot of hours. It's a huge commitment. We didn't get much of him. And then Scarlett didn't get much of me because I was working all the time and commuting. And it was a really unhappy time in my life. And I felt like I wasn't doing my best as a mom. So when Anthony got orders to California, I started looking for a different opportunity. And it was around that time that you were growing Squared Away. And actually, and Jordan referenced this too, Michelle has another group called Savvy Spouse, which is another way that she connects people to remote opportunities. Like maybe if they're not even ready to join Squared Away, it's an opportunity database. And that's where you were posting the job application for Squared Away. So I finally was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to try it. I applied. I interviewed with Kelsey. I interviewed with you. And then you know the rest of the story. It took me longer than anyone else under the sun to accept your job offer because, to be perfectly honest, I just felt like it was too good to be true. Even though I had watched you and Kelsey, do this for a few years, I was like, how is that going to happen for me? And the other piece of this, which is that I have always felt a little bit of an outcast in the military spouse community. I'm a second spouse. Anthony and I dated for a lot of years before we got married. And even though that's very typical in the civilian world, it's very uncommon in our community. So
Yes,
I didn't have the best experiences with military spouses. And I think that was a huge reluctance for me. That was something I was really leery about. Like, do I want to go and work with a group of women or a group of people, really? We have everybody at Squared Away, which I love. But did I really want to go and immerse myself in that professionally when that was a place where personally I had felt like a lot of struggle and a lot of like, I'm not accepted here. I don't belong here. So
right.
In addition
it can definitely be a cliquey community in certain ways.
Yeah.
And it's finding your people. And if you've already been burned, it's like, do I really want to work for a company where there's the potential for clickiness in any capacity?
It's the fear of the unknown, right? And what's really funny is now, to your point, like I have found my people, and Squared Away and the military spouse community that we have has been such a value add for my life. It's actually helped me branch out in my personal life with military spouses. Like I live in 29 Palms right now, which anyone who's married to a Marine was probably cringing, but I actually love it here. And I have found the best community of anywhere that Anthony's ever been stationed. So it is about finding your people. But funny story about that too, and this, probably the person who was the absolute worst to me as far as military spouses ended up working for us for a while. So just a good lesson to always be kind, because you never know who's going to be in charge of your paycheck in the future.
And it's a very small military spouse community.
Very small community. And if you tell someone at Jane Wayne Day that they can't have a t-shirt because they're just a girlfriend, you might meet that person again. So it's just, kindness is definitely something that I've learned from this journey as well. You don't know what people are going through. You don't know what the experience is like on their end. And that's how I've learned to connect with people, is just putting aside the fear of the unknown and just saying, hey, if I'm kind to you, let's just see what happens. And most of the time that's worked out really well for me.
No, I agree. You kind of never know what's going on the other side of the house. So if you can just be kind, like kindness is free. And you guys have heard me say it takes effort to be an asshole. And it truly does. And it's definitely on our website. We don't work with assholes internally or externally. My mom still loves that so much that it's on our website.
I mean, it is basically the greatest mantra ever. And it protects us. We don't want unkindness. We don't want unkindness for our team. We don't want unkind people in our circle. It's just not who we are. So I love it.
No, not at all. We take care of our people internally and externally.
Yes.
So you started at Squared Away, and then you came to love your clients so much, and they're fiercely advocate or advocating for Squared Away to this day. What brought you from being an assistant, just living your best life, to the sometimes chaotic level of being a director and now chief of operations?
I think once I got into Squared Away, I mean, I will tell anybody who will listen, I am the living embodiment of our mission. I had so many jobs before I found Squared Away. We moved places, and there were times when we moved to South Carolina, I went on 17 interviews before I got a job. And it's not that I'm not educated. It's not that I don't have good experience, but you know the stigma as well as I do. As soon as you tell people you're a military spouse, they love it. They're thankful for you. They're thankful for your spouse's service, but they don't want you to work for them because
Not
you're
at all.
going to.
Not at all.
So,
And that's something I just had a conversation about this yesterday. Most people hide the fact that you're a military
yes,
spouse, which is so freaking nuts to me. That's something that we should
be proud
wear.
of.
Exactly. We should wear on our forehead. I'm a military spouse. Be proud of it. Like, my spouse is dedicated to you and your freedoms of our
Yeah.
country. And why the heck should I hide it just because I'm applying for a job? That doesn't sound fair or right.
And it's really not fair, but that's how it goes.
Yeah.
But I think after I went through my first PCS with Squared Away and realized, like, wow, I don't have to look for a new job. I don't have to interview with a bunch of strangers who are going to judge me for, based on 5 minutes of my life when I have all these years of life and all these things to offer. I think once I really saw that happening for me and happening for other people, like, that's when I bought in. I was like, I want to do more here. Part of why I came to Squared Away too was because I didn't have a lot of direction in my career. I had done a little bit of everything. I grew up a horse girl, kind of figured I would ride horses professionally forever, and I was until I met my husband. And I'm not, I don't regret the lifestyle change at all, but it really made me think about, like, what do I want to do long term? And when I came to Squared Away, I really didn't know. I had just kind of a smorgasbord of experience and wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So client work was really helpful for me to just kind of understand, what am I good at? I had clients who really let me grow, who really, took my ideas and made me partners to them. And I think that helped me just kind of have the confidence to come to you and say, hey, I love my client work, but I also love Squared Away. I love our mission. It's changed my life. What can I do to get more involved? And as well as I do, what that actually looked like in real life was me slinging you ideas every week of, what about if I did this? What about if I did this? What about this? How about I run the blog? How about I, anything really. I just wanted to make it clear to you that I wanted to be here long term and I want to build something. And so I think it's just, if you're in a position like that where you want to move up and you're really not sure how to do it, I think it's just a communication. And I am an over communicator. Everyone knows that about me. I talk and talk and talk and talk. I am learning to listen and observe and just the value of that. But I think it's just communicating your intent, right? Like, I told you as soon as possible that I wanted to be here and I wanted to grow. And so when the finance opportunity came up, I remember you telling me that you guys were in Nashville and I was just the first person you thought of. And that meant so much to me because then I knew that I had sent my message clearly, that, like, I
Yes.
really, really was ready to move up. As far as how I got to COO, that, was kind of more of an unexpected journey for me. I still kind of can't believe that I'm COO of this company.
It is so wild that, having done a lot of reflection over the past couple weeks, when it was just me and Kelsey, and now we have 4 levels of growth internally at Squared Away and options and letting people kind of find their own way. What interests you? Why do you want to be here? What's something that you are absolutely passionate about? One of the best pieces of advice I ever got, and shout out to Adam Grant, because I'm pretty sure it's somewhere in one of his books that are very much dog-eared in my office.
We stand Adam Grant. We love him.
We do. And it's putting the right people in the right spot and getting out of their way. I've always said, we're in the business of building leaders, not followers.
Yes.
So don't come to me and ask for permission. Come to me and tell me what you intend to do. And I think that mindset is just so powerful when it comes to building a culture and bringing in people that really, truly want to be here and make an impact. And that's just something that I think people forget about, is just because you have a title doesn't mean you know everything.
No.
And getting those people who are passionate and the figure outers of the
Yes.
world that say, you know what, I don't exactly know how to do it right now, but this is what I intend to do. And I just need you to keep me from driving off a cliff.
Yes. Yeah, you've always given us a lot of freedom. Like, I built finance the way that I wanted finance to run. Operations was in a pretty good place. So that was more of, just sustaining that. But I've been able to build my teams. I've been able to have the platforms I need. I've been able to, have the processes work the way I need them to work. I collaborate with other departments. And I think that's why sometimes it's hard for me to believe that I am where I am, because it just felt so organic. Like, it just felt like this was a natural progression of where I was supposed to be and where the company was supposed to go. And I'm really proud of it. I mean, Jordan and I both started, and Jess too, when Squared Away was probably less than 50 people. And it's amazing to see all of the amazing teammates that we have now. And even, just like people who've gone and had these amazing buyouts. And there's been so much change that's happened in Squared Away that I feel really fortunate. I've really gotten to see it from the beginning. And that also just sort of strengthens my long-term commitment to us, because I've seen us go through a lot of things, good, bad, and otherwise. So it's just, I know we're going to be here for the long term. And as soon as I realized that, it was really important for me to make sure that I was also here for the long term. That's how I got here. I talked a lot and had a lot of ideas and showed up. That's how I got here.
Exactly. Squared Away has been a melting pot of amazing ideas. It hasn't been, just me or me and Shane, or me, Shane, and Daniel just saying, hey, we're going to do this. It's been, okay, well, I need you guys' ideas, because I can't do this by myself. I'm one human who is definitely not as talented as my crew is, my core four. And I have the heart, I have the mission. You guys have the skill sets to actually put that into play. And I think that's so important to have as a CEO and founder.
We all definitely have like our individual strengths. We are all very different people, but I think the dynamic works together really well. And I would say that that's true of our whole downline, right? Like our directors, same thing. They all collaborate so incredibly well. I love watching them work together. Team lead managers, amazing. Team leads, great. All the people on our team who are going to come up and eventually be team leads and team lead managers and replace us one day. Like, we have so much talent on our team that I think it's, to your point, it's really neat when you see people kind of end up in places that work for them and where they can really thrive and, be in their zone of genius, as Laura Garnett would say.
Yes. Shout out to Laura for Zone of Genius.
We love you, Laura. We love the Zone of Genius.
What would you say are some of the talents of military spouses that are really slept on by civilians in different companies outside of us?
I would say that the most overlooked quality in a military spouse is truly just crisis management. Like, I promise you, we have had the worst day of your life already, and it was probably just a Tuesday. We've seen it. We've done it. We were probably in the middle of a move or
a sick kid.
Yes, exactly. I think it's just a lot of people and we see this with clients, we see this with, friends, family. It's just a common thing that people do. When you're facing a really big challenge, it's so easy to go inward and just say, I need to handle this. I don't want to burden anyone else with this. But when you have a military spouse on your team, you can literally take anything to that person. You could say, hey, my dog died. I have COVID. I need groceries today. And
my house is on fire.
Yes, and my house is on fire.
And
they will fix it for you. Like, We are masters at wrangling chaos because that's what our life is always like. Even on the best day of my life, there are 100 things going on that I'm probably responsible for because my husband's not here right now. He is literally not here. He is deployed. He's always deployed. Everybody knows that. That's his job. And it's just one of those things where, like, you know, I think people are like, oh, I don't want to burden my assistant with that because their life is already really hard. No, please bring it to us. We love things like that. Problem solving is one of the things that military spouses do best because, like I said, it's just our day to day. There's always a problem.
There is absolutely always a problem. And I think a lot of it, to your point, is I don't want to burden someone else with this.
Yes.
But that's what we're here for. And if you can get one of the most badass military spouses that is basically going to unscrew your chaos ball for you, you're not burdening them. You're taking their immensely amazing skill set that you probably don't have, and that's okay. But
we're glad you don't have it.
We're glad you don't have it. That's why we have a company.
Your life is probably calm. Congrats.
But don't feel like that's a burden. That's literally our entire wheelhouse. And the really amazing thing about Squared Away is our beehive. Because if I don't know it, you probably do. Or one of our other 400 assistants probably has handled it at some point in time. And it's just, you're getting something better than Google. I will forever say that. Sorry, Google. But military spouse communities are a little bit more in tune to things that are actually going on.
They're an interstate of ideas, right? And I think the other thing is too, clients have to understand, like, that's a source of pride for us when we can help you through something that feels really big and chaotic on your end too. So I think that's the most overlooked thing. Crisis management. That is when you want to lean on your military spouse assistant the most, or your teammate, whatever capacity that they're supporting you. Let them help you with the big, scary stuff. They can handle it.
Absolutely. So on that note, what are some of the wins that you've had over the years that you just want to shout from the rooftops that this is something I'm immensely proud of, even when it came at me designed to break me or break us?
You know exactly what I'm going to talk about. I don't really like to talk about the federal government, but I would say, and this is kind of a recent thing that we've gotten through, was having to go back 1099 due to the fact that the IRS classified us as an applicable large employer and wanted us to offer health insurance. As the person who originally took us W-2, I took that very personally. I felt like I had failed our team. I felt like I was taking things away from them. But what I ultimately discovered after we got through all of, explaining to the IRS our structure and that our teammates are taken care of, and most of them are military affiliated, and we provide stipends for those who aren't. Like, we really, really are trying to take care of people. And I would like to say, before I go any further, that we did fight the IRS and we won. But I think it was just getting through that and realizing that even though things had to change, we were still doing the right thing because we were able to preserve our company. I talked to so many people throughout that process, and many of them told me, close, lay everybody off, get rid of it. You don't want this problem. And we chose to go head to head with the IRS as well instead, and to try to explain ourselves and try to represent our company and the ways that we take care of people. And it was definitely hard on the internal end. I think, periods of great change are tough for anyone, especially when we, as we've spoken about, we already live in such a climate of change because we are military spouses. We don't want things to change at work. We don't want things to change in the places that we feel like we can count on consistency. So Absolutely. It was so hard to go to the team and say, hey, in order to save our jobs, including leadership, our whole company, we've got to go through this massive transition that is going to be hard for you to hear. And I mean, as well as I do, there were we got a lot of feedback on that. Some was good, some was bad. But I think what makes me proud 6 months later is that we're standing in the middle of a beautiful company where people do understand our intent. They do understand what happened. They are confident in the fact that we acted in their best interest, even though, it was a humongous change for us and something that was really tough to do. I'm so proud of the feedback we're getting now and the people who chose to stick with us because they realized that nothing good about Squared Away was changing. We could get through this and still preserve the things that everyone loves. And we're actively trying to rebuild those things and make them better too. So I think that is if you had asked me 2 years ago, I would have told you that it was taking everybody W-2, and I was so proud of that. And I am proud of that. That was hard too. And we did that without attorneys. We pretty much figured that out on our own. But I think
and stayed legal through that whole process.
Stayed legal. So, we sure did.
Shout out
my journals
to our compliance team.
Yes, thank you. But yeah, I think it's just the fact that we got through that and that, we're hearing from teammates that they're happy and that they understand. I think that's the biggest thing. Sometimes in leadership, we have to make decisions that aren't going to please everyone. That's probably the biggest professional lesson and personal that I've learned in the last 5 years is that you can't please everyone and you're not going to. So there's no reason to live under that sort of mountain of pressure. But it is hard to disappoint people. It is difficult for folks to say to you, like, you've changed my whole life for the worst. And we had people say that to us. So I think it's getting through that transition and just being able to move forward with confidence, with clarity that we're never going to be in that spot again and that we can just build Squared Away around our team. Instead of, we have to operate this way or we have to operate that way. No, we can all be a part of how we operate and we can all have a say in how we operate. And I think that's something unique about Squared Away, but it's one of the things that makes me the most proud. Like, we are not people who collect feedback arbitrarily. I read through every single entry on feedback. I know you do. I know Jordan does. I know Jess does. I know the directors do. We care what people think because we want them to stay long-term too. So that just makes me really proud of many of the things that we've been able to get through as a company and still be standing.
I agree.
And be standing with integrity.
Standing with integrity. I say that all the time. Integrity is our North Star. Number one, we're not here to scam people. We're not here to screw people. We're not here to be giant buttholes to clients and teammates and take advantage. That is literally the exact opposite of what we want to do. And over the past 8 years, I've watched us being audited and going W-2 and figuring out healthcare and then doing this 1099 transition literally while my dad was dying. So it was just, there's your military spouse dumpster fire for 2024 right there. And just saying, okay, at the end of the year, are we going to have a company or can we bust our tail to show our team that this is our intention? There were tears. There were all the emotions.
Yes.
I think we all had a mini meltdown at least once or twice a week, just based on the stress. And I don't think we would have that, though, if we didn't care about our people. And
that's what it is. We're grappling with the disappointment of the change more than the change itself. We don't like to disappoint people. We want people to love Squared Away.
We can work a process and we can make something happen. That's no big deal. But fixing how people feel about us as a company and culture and the confidence to trust us and keep that trust, that's the stressful piece.
Yeah, and that's the lifelong work, right? Like, we're accountable to everyone who works at Squared Away, and I hope that's something that they know we take very seriously. I don't log in every day and just assume that I deserve to be here or that I have this title because I'm just Sara Brooks-Glover and I got it. I have this title because I show up every day and I'm committed to our mission and I want the best for all of them. And I think, that's just something that we've always been really solid on long term, no matter what our company is going through. And that's why we have people who've been here for as long as I have. Some of them even a little longer than me. We have tier threes who've been here longer than me. And that makes me happy because that tells me we're doing something right. And does that mean every single person is going to come here and understand what we're doing or think we're a great company? No. Not everyone is, but as long as we're consistent and, like you say, we lean on that foundation of integrity and communicating as best we can to the team. There are some things I will say, like through ALE, we tried to keep a lot of that away from them because it was really hard and it was really stressful and there was a lot of uncertainty. And I just wanted them to be able to focus on next steps for them and the adjustments that needed to take place on their end. But one thing that has made me it's meant a lot to me in the aftermath of that. Now that we're through that, is so many people have come to me, you, Jordan, Jess, our leadership team, and said, hey, I realized what you guys were shouldering and I realized what you were trying to do to save our company. And, I can't thank you for going through that. I see it. I understand it. Like, that is the best feedback that I can get, is that even though you had to go through something hard and we had to go through something hard as a company, that the intent and the integrity still came through and that people understood we were doing it for the right reasons and for long-term reasons. And because in 20 years, when I'm retired, thank you very much, I still want people to be able to join Squared Away. I still want military spouses to be able to find a place here because it meant so much to me. Like, this company has changed my entire life. I will never have to look for a job again. And no matter where I move, I'm moving next week. I am moving from California to Michigan next week, and I will set up my computer in Michigan and I will get back to work. And I can't tell you what that means to me to not have to think about something like that. And that's what I want for every single member of our team, whether that's, they work with us forever. They get a really great client buyout. Buyouts are a continuation of our mission. People sometimes I think that we don't want to do them. I love a buyout. I'm not going to give you a $0 buyout. We still are for-profit company friends, but like, we want everyone to do well. So I just hope that no matter what people know about Squared Away, I hope they understand that we are here to propel people forward. We are not here to hold you back, and we're always going to try to do the right thing for you.
1,000,000%, because I think when people say, oh, I'm leaving Squared Away or I got this new job, that we're going to be sad for them. In some ways, we're definitely going to be sad because there are people.
We're very happy.
There are people, and we love them as humans and everything that we've gone through with them to this point. But if we see, it's kind of like being a mama bear, and I will forever compare it to being a mama bear. Watching your babies come from not knowing about the world or about working in a professional capacity after 15 years of not being in the workspace, and then you see them go work with a client who's going to pay them 6 figures, that is absolutely a game changer for them and their lifestyle and their families. Being a part of that journey is so humbling and such an honor just to see that whole progression of an individual that you have come to adore so much.
Right. You watch them go through training. You did their gusto onboarding, and the next thing you know, they have a client who's creating a custom role for them with an amazing salary and benefits package because they see the same value in that person that we did. Exactly. I think that's some of the best work that we do, I think, is what people do after Squared Away or what they do through Squared Away. It's not always the things that they're doing here. It's when we see them go out into the world and then they're like, I learned this at Squared Away. I grew this confidence at Squared Away. That thrills us. You don't have to be here forever to represent us well. And we understand that. Some of them aren't going to stay forever. Heck, we had an assistant who started with us last month. Her client already bought her out. I love that. Go forth.
I love that so much. And I think that's the misconception is, you're stuck at Squared Away or you're Squared Away.
We're not a prison.
And it's the exact opposite. We celebrate that on such a different level. And a lot of companies don't exactly have that culture understanding.
No, we don't mind being a launch pad. Like, I think about some of the roles when I was preparing for this podcast. That's actually something I wrote down that I'm really proud of our company. I think of some of the titles and just the work that people have gone on to do. So when I became director of finance, it took me a while, as you know. My OG client, who's my mentor, Adrienne, who I also love to shout out because I love her so much. I worked with her for a couple of years after I was director of finance, but I offloaded my other two clients pretty quickly just so that I could learn the job. And the teammate who ended up taking over my VC client, I watched her get a buyout with them for chief of staff a year and a half later. Like, that just makes my heart soar. That's what we want for them. So yes, Squared Away is not a prison. It can be a launch pad. You could be here forever if you want. We love you. We'll keep you. But if there's an opportunity for you, we're going to do everything we can to make that happen. And I hope people know that. We want you to do well, whether it's at Squared Away or beyond, because you're still representing us. You're still going to talk about us, and you're a part of our network forever.
And I think that's something that companies as a whole, and business owners and founders and CEOs of companies who have been hesitant to hire military spouses or hesitant to work with Squared Away for whatever reason, let's just say.
Yeah.
But if they can see that you have spouses who are coming who've maybe worked at Chick-fil-A only because that's the only place they could get hired, and then you kind of try out the process and see how it works, and then you become so ingrained in this individual and working with them, and you're like, okay, now she needs to be my chief of staff. I don't care if she was at Chick-fil-A first. But going through and saying, okay, I trust Squared Away. I trust the process. I trust the people they're bringing on. This person can be a great fit for my company. Watching that go from, companies that don't even want to hire military spouses to answer phones is an incredibly different mindset shift in the corporate world, I think.
I think something we're really good at, and I want to give Jordan and her team some love here, Jordan and Krista, especially with their matches. We are really good at putting people in places where they can really shine and really showcase their talents regardless of what their job history is. And I think that's where, to your point, clients will really say like, wow, this person is just a great fit for me. I don't need to see their resume. I don't care where they live. I don't care, how old they are, how many kids they have, whatever the case. They've proven to me that they're an integral piece of my fabric and I need them. So I think a lot of that, like you said, is trusting the process, is trusting that, we don't match people based on, oh, here's a assistant who's available. Here's a client who needs somebody. Good luck. It doesn't work that way with us. And I think that's part of why we see so many people having success, both in Squared Away and also when they move on, is just because it's about the right fit, and it's about letting people be in places where they can, that's their stage, right? Putting them on their individual stage. So I don't have anything to do with that, so I can't take any credit. I never do matches. I would be a terrible matcher. But that's something that our client success team does really well and lends itself to just almost one of the best things about Squared Away.
I agree completely. Not that I'm biased or anything, So, again, got to shout out Jay here. But
good job, Jordan.
What does reinvention mean to you now after having been with us for so long and watching the dumpster fires creep up?
I think reinvention is just being able to evolve through change, and in many ways accepting the realities of things, and just that you don't know what you don't know. You can't change what you can't change, and taking the conditions that you have and the variables that you can control and making the best possible outcome with those. And, kind of to my earlier point, understanding that you can't please everyone, but that you have to be so rooted in your own values and your own integrity, in your own intention, that you can still put your head on the pillow and go to sleep at night. Because even if someone disagreed with whatever you did that day, or, the move that you made, the process that you created, even though there might not be that immediate, like, wow, you did amazing. It's knowing that your foundation is there and that part doesn't change. The job may change, the people you're working with may change, your working hours may change, your working location may change, but as long as you know who you are, I think that's what reinvention is. And that takes a long time, right? Like, I'm 38 years old, and I am probably just in the last 5 years in a place where I could sit here and tell you with a straight face and full honesty that I love and accept myself. I am a recovering people pleaser forever. I know people hate this word, but I am an empath. I feel everything. And so it's really hard for me to disappoint people. It's really hard for me I always kind of have in the back of my mind, like, well, 99% of the people think this is a great idea, but what about that 1%? And I used to really live for that 1%. And like, how can I change people's minds? And how can I make everyone like me and understand me? And that is just not an achievable goal. And you will be so lonely if you live like that. You will be
Yes.
so stressed out, so anxious if you live like that. So I think that a lot of reinvention is just accepting yourself and accepting that everything can change around you and you can still be who you are. And that's where you rest your laurels, right? It's not my title. It's not, who I'm married to. It's not where I live, what I drive. It's who am I when people meet me? When I go to the airport and I sit next to somebody on a plane, what is their impression of me? When I go to the grocery store and I check out in line, or I'm getting gas and I say hi to someone, like, those are the interactions that are important to me. And I think also, part of reinventing yourself and kind of understanding the bigger themes of life as you get older is just realizing that, like, the little things are the big things, right? Like, it's your day-to-day interactions. It's the small things that you do that kind of get you from one big milestone to the next, or one big chapter of your life to the next. And it's also what can get you through when things are really hard, is just clinging to those little pebbles of, I did this right today, or I can be proud of this today. So it's a very long-winded way of answering your question. Shocking that I would be long-winded, but I just really think that reinvention is about just learning to accept yourself, accept reality through the ever-changing landscape of personal and professional life. Nothing is ever going to stay the same, but you can, and that's something you can control. And so that's been just the biggest thing for me, right? Is just understanding that I don't have to change who I am just because things are changing around me. My job is to be who I am and stick to my values, stick to my morals, stick to my ethics, keep my boundaries.
Absolutely.
Don't please everybody.
Yes. I too am still a recovering people pleaser,
It's hard.
It is very hard, especially when you care so much about people. It's hard not to want to see them happy.
It comes to a place of, like, you care about people so much that you're like, well, I want the naysayers to be happy too. It's just not going to happen.
In the words of, I think, Reese Witherspoon said this. If it was her or Dolly, I can't remember exactly which one, because they're both, my girls that they don't know they're my girls. Someone else's opinion of you is none of your business.
Yeah, that's very true.
And I say that to myself at least once a week. Like, their opinion of me is none of my business. I need to feel good about who I am. And as long as I can plant myself on that every single day and feel good about it, everybody else's opinion doesn't matter.
I agree.
Amazing. Well, thank you, Sara, for joining us. I always have a ball chatting with you, and I know we could probably do this for another hour just because it's us, but I'm so proud of where you've come over the past 5 years, from me literally interviewing you in my tiny kitchen in Hawaii, walking around pregnant. Yes, barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen.
I was in my car, so if that makes me feel any better. I had to leave my house because my child was so loud. I did my interview with you and Kelsey sitting in my car in South Carolina. So solidarity.
It is so amazing to see you where you are now and how confident in your leadership abilities, because I think you're an amazing leader, and
Thank you.
Being an empath. Sorry, y'all, I'm going to use that word, but You have
it.
an incredible ability to read people and how they're feeling better than anybody I've ever seen in my life. And I just appreciate that about you so much. And I know our team loves you to death.
I
So
love that.
we could never exist without Sarah, but I'm genuinely so proud of where you are, and you could knock me over with a feather 8 years ago because I never would have expected us to be here today.
I know. I agree. Well, thank you for all of that. And thank you for having me. I mean, I want to make it very clear to anyone who's listening that a lot of success is getting yourself to the right team too. And I wouldn't be here if you hadn't given me these opportunities. I mean, I remember even when I came to you about director of operations, because I was director of operations for less than a year, y'all. I did that too. But I came to you and I was basically just like, hey, I've never had interest in this role before, and I'm actually really comfortable in finance, but I think this is a place where I can make a bigger impact on our team, and I feel ready to do that. And you've always just kind of let me soar in the areas where, as long as I can show you that I have the confidence to do it, you have never held me back. So I need to credit some of my success and, you know, part of where I am and how I got here to you, because you were willing to listen to me. And that's a tall order, because I say a lot. It's not like bits of your life. I was writing email novels and we were having hour phone calls about all the things that I wanted to do. So I think a lot of it is just, I was very fortunate that I found the right team and I found the right people, you, to kind of let me go on this runway. So
You find the right people and then you get out of their way, period. I'm here for questions and answers occasionally, but as far as, you know, the commitment, the proactiveness, the drive, and the fire inside of everybody who's grown at Squared Away, I am never going to be somebody to put out somebody's smoke and fire. I want them to progress and be better. And if I can help that along in any way, I'm happy to do so. But it's a gut instinct. Like, it was very much ingrained in my soul to be like, okay, this is Sarah. Sarah's going. Jordan's going. Jess is going. Everybody's going, because it felt right in my soul for everybody. And we make changes internally all the time. And, you know, if it feels off, I'll be the first one to wave the white flag and be like, this feels off. But I think as long as we're all going with our gut instincts, it's never going to steer us in the wrong direction.
I agree. Trust your intuition. That's our closing statement.
Always. Put that on a t-shirt. Well, thank you, ma'am, for joining us. And you are always welcome back anytime.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all for listening. And we hope you will tune in again for another episode of Beyond Orders. Have a good one, y'all.
Bye, y'all.